Oregon's tight end Kenyon Sadiq is so good that if I'm the Houston Texans, if he's available between picks 19 to 28, I'd trade up for him.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation from H-Town to your town. Today's episode and every episode of the Locked On Texans podcast is for Texan fans all around. Fun show lined up today as I continue my series over draft prospects for the additional prospects that I think the Houston Texans can benefit from, or players that I think maybe the Texans may need to stay away from. It's time to talk about round one playmakers that could change Houston's offense. And it's time to look at Kenyon Sadiq, a name that I think Texan fans and I think the Texans brass and front office should absolutely keep their eyes on and ear to the streets on. Because I think with what the Houston Texans lacked in 2025, it was Dalton Schultz a bust. Nobody else was able, in that tight end room, nobody else was able to step up and play. You have to deal with injuries. Brevin Jordan missed a year. Cade Stover dealing with injuries and him not taking the lead. Harrison Bryant being a veteran, but he doesn't add much, especially in terms of explosiveness. None of those guys brought anything to the table for Houston in 2025. Luke Lachey, 7th-round pick, kept around on the practice squad, never got a shot. For Houston and Nick Caley, more importantly, you talk about being a scheme fit, you're going to look at a guy that can operate opposite side of Dalton Schultz. They didn't have it in 2025. And obviously, we talk about players like Kyle Pitts, Cole Kmet could possibly be a cut candidate for Chicago, TJ Hawkinson, possibly cap casualty. A lot of vets will be available, whether it be free agency, outright unrestricted free agents, or cap casualties. But I think for the Houston Texans, who have not drafted a tight end worth mentioning since Owen Daniels, it is important. CJ Fedora's, by the way, he dealt with injuries and concussions, but it is important for them to find their next homegrown product, right? And that's important for a lot of different ways, especially if you can get one in the first round where you operate with that fifth-year option. And Kenyon Sadiq, like I mentioned, if he's available between pick 18 to 28, and the Houston Texans went about revamping the offensive line with veterans and free agency the right way, I'd absolutely trade up for the young man. 6'3", 245, 250 pounds. When he got to college, he added 35 pounds since arriving at Oregon. He's going to be projected to run around that 4.5, 40 range. And so that's going to be crazy with his height, his size, that force in 2025. 51 catches, 560 yards, 8 TDs. If you look at some of his explosiveness and what he brings as a freak athlete, a 41.5-inch vertical on the last testing that I did research on, 365 power clean, 435 on the bench. He's a rare blend of size and explosiveness, and he has the athletic profile that jumps off the page. One of Houston's clearest offensive upgrade spots this year, again, like I mentioned, is tight end. If the Texans want more juice in the middle of the field or more versatility in the run passing game, Kenyon Sadiq is absolutely a name to monitor. You can't even argue he's tight end one in this class because it'll be no argument. He is the best tight end from maybe not from a production standpoint, right? But everything that you look for in a tight end is Kenyon Sadiq in many ways. And I think tight end 2 in this year's draft class is Eli Stowers, right, out of Vandy. That's tight end 2. Sadiq is tight end 1. One of those guys looks like a tight end, playing tight end. The other guy, Eli Stowers, looks like a receiver playing tight end. And so you got to keep that in mind when you start to look at the blocking game. But in many ways, how I viewed Tyler Booker last year, like he was a clear-cut guard. There was nobody else in competition with him. Clear top player at his position, and also a player that will be worth an aggressive action like trading up for. It's the same way I view Kenyon Sadiq. Same way. He has the movements downfield, not interchangeable, he has the movement downfield underneath as well that screams modern mismatch tight end. speed, power combo in the open field is legit intriguing. The offense here in Houston needs more players who can create, stress after the catch and threaten the seams. Sadiq fits that mold immediately. And one thing that keeps showing up to me is, he sells everything. He sells everything. Strong play action sell before releasing. Effective in the flats, crosses on low concepts, right? Comfortable, very comfortable operating at the edge of the formation. High level, avoid contact releases from the line of scrimmage. Right? He does good things at a high level consistently, right? I think this will be huge for Nick Caley and what the system is asking for. You got play action, which is where you saw the best version and cleanest version of CJ Stroud, especially when the run game was operating. And again, another thing that stood out to me was just how often at Oregon he was motioning. I don't have the actual like motion rate percentage, but when I watch this film, the Indiana film, the Northwestern film, the Rutgers film, when I watch his tape, he was moving around a lot, and I think that you talk about mismatches, he could be that guy. Sadiq already plays the game the way the Houston Texans offense either is structuring the offense or what the envision is for the offense. He plays football at a high level and he does it consistently. When we get back, let's talk about more things and more takeaways from Sadiq that I like and how he could be a complete asset for the Houston Texans. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full services, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. You can upload your documents and go about your day and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling everything for you. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Also, Texas fans, perfect opportunity to let you guys know that FanDuel is really looking out for their customers. How are they looking out for their customers? Well, you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is perfect for you, and it's the perfect time to lock it in. Visit fanduel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on any NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let's get back to looking at some of the things that Kenyon Sadiq does well. I mentioned the tight end group needing more juice, needing a guy that can make plays downfield. And that's not Dalton Schultz in his career right now. Dalton Schultz may pick up something underneath and to get you a couple of extra yards on the ground, but he's not going to make consistent plays downfield. I don't think that's him anymore. And with Kenyon Sadiq athletic profile and some of the things that he does, just completely jumping out the gym. I mean, this guy probably could have been in the dunk contest and did better than what we got this past year. But his deep route ability is amazing. He had 6 deep catches last year, top 5 among tight ends, 149 deep receiving yards, and his route stays sharp deep into the games, and his route stays sharp deep into the route. He doesn't lose. He doesn't lose in route integrity the longer the route gets. And for a tight end, I think that's special, especially for a 250-pound tight end. And the Texans desperately need that. They need a tight end that can cause more seam stress on a defense. They need a tight end who can actually threaten defenses vertically, right? Sadiq checks all those boxes, in my opinion. Has great ball control and body skills. He has great ball skills and body control. This stands out consistently on tape. Excellent back shoulder adjustments, high points along the sideline, natural ball tracker, makes tough grabs look easy. Like I think this would be a player that CJ Stroud could trust early, and I also think this is a player that Nick Caley would trust early. Let's keep in mind Houston just moved on from their tight end coach. And they did that for a reason. Jake Moreland, they did that for a reason. They're going to get a new face in that room from a player perspective and coach perspective. And he would be a guy in Kenyon Sadiq that I think would fit the mold here in Houston. Now look at some of his run blocking evaluation. Okay, what does he do well? Because if you can't block at the tight end spot, you're not going to get on the field. And that's before Nick Kelly got here. That was a requirement of D'Amico Ryans. And that is a part of the culture. If you're not going to play physical football from the tight end perspective, you're not going to be a Houston Texan. All right, that's a way that tight ends can swarm. So when I look at some of the things that he does well, I mean, he actively searches for second level defenders. Effective on motion blocks and combo looks as well. Good effort and functional strength, more than functional strength, and better in space than the pure inline drive situations. There are some areas to clean up. Pad level can get high at times. Leverage consistency versus true edge defenders on the outside. Not always ideal in true one-on-one line of scrimmage looks and battles, but this is very coachable. And it doesn't show up frequently enough to be a red flag. He is still a good blocker overall. Reminds me a lot of Greg Kittle. A lot. And I also look at his motion usage, which would be big for Houston. Oregon moved him around a lot, inline to slot motion to inline, slot to outside, outside to inside. Also, you look at some of the outside zone motion looks, combo block movement. His Rutgers tape, especially strong here, displaying everything you want to see out of Kenyon Sadiq and what he can bring at the next level. So why should Houston Texans fans care? We talk about the Houston Texans scheme last year and why it in many ways failed. And I always go back to, I think the functionality of it just missed pieces, important pieces. Kaylee's background, LA, New England, like those guys love two tight end sets. There was not another tight end aside of Dalton Schultz that you could trust and be on the field healthy enough just to even be healthy to also do some of the things that the offense is asking of them. This is why I think the Texans will draft a tight end. And I think, they should draft a tight end high. And I think Kenyon Sadiq could be that guy. I really do. He's a tight end who can move across formations. He's a tight end that can sell run looks. He's a tight end that releases into his routes at a high level. He's a tight end that maintains stamina and intensity throughout the game. He fits the Houston Texans. He really does. And so, again, he's a true modern tight end weapon. Everything that most Texan fans want to see out of Brevin Jordan, this is what Sadiq is, and he has a higher ceiling. He has a higher ceiling. And all of the issues and red flags, quote unquote, red flags that he has coming out of college, very fixable, very coachable. If the Texans are serious about evolving this offense and giving CJ Stroud more middle of the field firepower, Kenyon Sadiq is absolutely a name to circle on that draft board. Rare athletic traits, real receiving production, scheme versatility, high developmental ceiling. If Houston wants to upgrade their tight end room in a meaningful way, Sadiq isn't just a watch list player. He's a potential difference maker. Thank you for watching this additional tight end draft coverage on Locked On Texans podcast today, going over the strengths and weaknesses of Kenyon Sadiq. Special player. Has the makeup and the traits to be a special player at the next level. So for the Houston Texans, I think they need to keep him on that draft board. Peace, Texas fans.